So LSU beats Florida, huh? 20-10. Game felt weird to me. Did you watch this whole game? I even asked my LSU brethren. I know you watched it. How'd you feel about the game? The Chalice rating is not kind to this game. Now the Chalice, we're just using a basic viewability rating. This was an ugly game to watch. So we give it 1 Chalice. Now, it doesn't matter if you're an LSU fan, you got the win. But it never really settled in. Like the Georgia-Tennessee game settled in. It got a flow to it. Notre Dame A&M's crazy, but it had a rhythm and a flow to it. This was just like, if you've ever gotten too tight into a parking lot and it's drive, reverse, drive, reverse, drive, reverse, drive. You never really got it in drive. You never really got it in reverse. You were just stuck because you pulled your Yukon into the Piggly Wiggly parking lot and you didn't really respect the space issues. Couldn't be Phoenix City, Alabama. Me and Meemaw used to walk to the pig on Somerville Road. So, look, when the opponent is losing a game, don't interrupt them. I credit LSU more than anything last night for just not interrupting Florida as they were in the process of historically handing over a game. The easiest padlock stat of the week, 5-1. That is how decisively LSU won the turnover battle in this game. And they lost Whit Weeks on the opening drive for a targeting foul again, you can complain about it or you can work to elect me as commissioner of this sport. Because on day one, as college football commissioner, I will address the egregious nature of targeting in this sport. I'm not doing away with targeting, but the fact that we don't have flagrant 1, flagrant 2 type tiered foul systems for targeting in this sport is insane. We're just throwing guys out of games for playing hard. There's not an ounce of malicious intent in how Whit Weeks hit that dude. He's just playing. And all of a sudden, he's out of a game. Why? I don't know. We're scared we're going to get sued. Yeah. Well, maybe think before you write the rules so that in the future, your best explanation is, well, we already wrote the rules. We can't be perceived as going backwards on them. Pathetic. Drugs. Pathetic. It was not the prettiest night. However, the D showed up. Immunity. And as long as you got Blake Baker down there, you got a shot. Blake Baker, an American hero. He now has LSU bordering on the top 10 in points per game in the country. And believe me, even that's an anomaly. There aren't 11 defenses better than LSU in the country right now. They just happen to have played a couple of decent teams. So LSU's playing lights out. But you know what I kept thinking about last night and this morning and this afternoon? As I was thinking about how do I discuss Florida? You could do the Napier hot seat stuff. We'll have plenty of time for that. But you remember a couple of weeks ago, it's going to be weird that I bring this game up. You remember when Arizona State played Mississippi State? I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago. And Arizona State was down 17-3 on the road. And Sam Leavitt had been terrible in the first half. And Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo and that offensive staff, they got together and they said, all right, we're 2 scores down. We need to come from behind, but our quarterback ain't feeling it. So we're not going to throw the ball. And sure enough, 32 of their next 39 plays were running plays. And you know what they did? They took the lead. Now, they ended up losing the game, but they came all the way back and they took the lead, playing to the strengths of what they were capable of that afternoon. I mention that because Florida did none of this last night. I thought it was one of their worst efforts offensively because they looked at a quarterback that quite clearly didn't have it, and they still had him throw the ball 49 times. He threw the ball 25 times in the second half. 3 picks in the second half. Egregious, like inexcusable picks. Defense is playing lights out for Florida. Their defense has played its tail off. It has given up, you know what, I'll talk more about it in a second, but just that offensive line and that running back stable should be such that if that defense is playing the way it is, you ought to be comfortable that you can run your way back into a game. And they, for whatever reason, not after 1, not after 2, not after 3, not after 4, but after 5 picks, they're still having DJ throw the ball. And he clearly is not seeing the field. He's seeing 10 defenders out there, and Baker's allowed to play with 11. It was an ugly night. We'll get back to the video 1 second. Do me one quick favor. Look down. Make sure you're subscribed. Most of you are. If you're not, please do so. It's the way we keep the channel free, we keep the videos coming, and we get to do college football year-round as God intended. All right, as promised, back to the video. Now, Brian Kelly afterwards had some stuff to say. So, I got to be real with you. A lot of people have had a lot to say about Brian Kelly. I'm going to play you the soundbite in a second. Brian Kelly does not have a great offense right now. He knows that. The media down there knows that. Now, there are two different ways to look at and listen to what I'm about to play. Now, I got to tell you, if I'm Brian Kelly, if I'm the coach of LSU, and I just beat Florida, this is probably what I would sound like. Roll it, Bradley.
Brian in the back, I know you love these immediate post-game sessions, but what are you seeing with your offense?
Stop. Really? Is that the first question? We won the game 20-10. Try another question. What do you want me to tell you? I just laid it out for you. We played the game to win the game. We played the game to win the game.
All right. How about third down then? What is going on with third down?
It's one game. Last game, we were great on third down. You're looking at this from the wrong perspective. LSU won the football game. Won the game. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? You want us to win 70-0 against Florida to keep you happy?
No, I think people want to know why you can't run the ball, quite honestly.
We can run the ball. Did you see the last play of the game? That's all you need. You just need one. There's a ridiculous questions. And I'm getting tired of it. That football team just worked their tail off to get an SEC win, and you want to know what's wrong. You know what? You're spoiled. You're spoiled. This team is 17-1 at night. 17-1. Give them some respect. How about that? Give them some respect instead of micro-analyzing every little thing. This is ridiculous. For a group of seasoned reporters, that kind of question is so out of line.
Yeah, so look, there's a lot of validity to what he's saying technically. And if I were the LSU coach, I'm just coming off the field, I know how tough it is to win those games. I mean, you got Florida's max effort. They played poorly at the quarterback position, but you got the max effort, and you won the game. The last thing you want to be doing is getting criticized. So if I'm Brian Kelly, I'd probably sound like that. But if I were Florida, or if I were an LSU fan, I'd have those concerns. So the question's totally valid. You know, maybe ask it fifth instead of first. I don't know. Ask it Monday or Tuesday instead of Saturday. They're 108th in points per game offensively right now. Like, clearly, LSU's offense is a shell in terms of what people thought it would be capable of so far. Now, that's through 3 games, and they've played 2 really tough defensive opponents. Last week kind of was what it was against Louisiana Tech. I will even give you benefit of doubt. That was like a letdown spot, look-ahead spot. So maybe you've just been in a letdown spot for your inferior opponent, and you played 2 really good defenses, and Brian Kelly's right. Maybe Brian Kelly is telling the God's honest truth that they called that game last night in the best manner to win that game. They realized, hey, the other guy doesn't have his fastball or his curveball or his changeup, so they keep turning the ball over. We don't really need to try and hand it back to him. I mean, Nussmeier had an egregious pick of his own last night, so he's still got that in him a little bit. Let's just pack it in. We'll be happy with the win here, and we'll move on down the road. When we need to open the offensive briefcase, it'll be there. You know, the reason I'm not going to get worked up about that is because if he's right, he's got a game at Ole Miss coming up, a game at Vandy. He's got Texas A&M on the schedule. He's got to go to Alabama, and he's got to go to Oklahoma. And I can promise you they're not holding all them to 10 points. As much respect as I have for Blake Baker, American icon. I don't know that every one of those games is going to be one where LSU can afford to sit there and just grind out a win. They may have to do what Georgia did yesterday. They may have to do what Texas A&M did yesterday. Can they? I don't feel like they could right now. But Brian Kelly knows his team better than me. And like I said, it's not like they play a bunch of tomato cans the rest of the year where we'll never know either way. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. You know what? Maybe they're not good right now and they'll get better over the course of the season too. That's another possibility. There's a third possibility, and that is Brian Kelly knows that his offense is sort of permanently limited this year, and he's trying to enjoy the wins while they can get them. That's a very pessimistic view, but I'm in the interest of offering every viewpoint. That's on the table. It's still only week 3. We're just not going into week 4. There's still a lot we don't know. I was thinking about the entire SEC last night and thinking about how, forget about trying to predict it in the preseason. I've given you and myself 3 weeks. Are you any closer to being able to predict the SEC right now? I'm not, but I can tell you one thing I know. And this one's going to be tough for me, considering what I thought I knew in the preseason. But we got to do it. We do it every week. Ladies and gentlemen, our special musical guest, Sarah McLachlan. Florida is this week's Sarah McLachlan special. Hit it, Prez. The Florida drive chart is horrific from yesterday. Field goal, interception, 3 and out, punt, touchdown, interception, punt, interception, punt, punt, interception, interception. And that's it. That's an entire season's worth of picks in one 3.5-hour game. Florida has allowed 2 offensive touchdowns through 3 games, and they are 1-2. This defense is being wasted worse than any Heisman caliber quarterback in the history of Lincoln Riley teams. This is horrible to watch. Napier is 16-21 versus FBS opponents at Florida now. There are 121 FBS teams with fewer picks this season than DJ Lagway had in one evening against LSU. And Florida still has games at Miami, Texas, at A&M, Georgia, at Ole Miss, at Tennessee, Florida State. They still play, according to the esteemed Associated Press Top 25 rankings, the number 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 13, and 15 teams in the country. So if it feels bad now, don't worry, it's going to get a whole lot worse. The Sarah McLachlan special, the completely inept and neutered Florida offense.